Yeah, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ivana Ivanova, and I'm speaking from Curtin University in Perth, Australia. I work there in spatial sciences and I'm doing teaching research in the domain of geographic information science, and my specialization is on spatial data quality and metadata systems. Thank you for the invitation to join your workshop on registries, which I think is very topical and important discussion, especially, and it's one of my interests because as a co-convener and leader of standards related to data quality and registries to data quality, it is my current item of interest. So in more specific terms, I am at the moment convening the ISO TC211's advisory group on registries, and in this group we are trying to harmonize and organize in what form ISO TC211 shares their knowledge, which are organized in the systems called registries. At the moment, we have one active register and some of you might know the geodetic register, which relates to the standard called ISO 19127. But there are more registries in making, and a very recent and soon to be published is a register for data quality measures, which is related to ISO 19157-3. And that part of that work actually triggered ISO TC211 to up their game on how they actually define registries, because there is an emerging need for more of these. So ISO 19157-3 register is an ISO standard, but it's the registration authority is the OGC, so it's going to be one of the catalogs offered through OGC, and thus providing authoritative source for any producer that would like to refer to official ISO data quality measures when they execute their quality assessment. If I just might explain a little rationale behind ISO 19157-3, which is the geographic information data quality part 3 data quality measures register standard currently under development. The main rationale was the following. The previous version of ISO 19157 from 2013 version was a little bit of a mixed bag, and it was caused by the nature of its predecessor. So we have several standards for data quality, and then at some point ISO TC211 decided to join 3 standards to one, and thus ISO 19157 was born. And this standard has 2 parts: a conceptual part which defined the data quality model, and then a normative annex called Annex D, which listed data quality measures that were a result of consensus as to how to express the value of quality assessment as per ISO data quality model. Now, these measures have been defined in the standard, which, as you might know, is a PDF, and the measures were structured in tables, oftentimes broken across pages, so utterly inaccessible as per current practice for access to information. So what we decided in 2019, when we started revising ISO 19157, is to actually rip the standard in 2 parts. So leave the conceptual model in part 1 that has been published in a revised version of the standard has been published in 2023. And then we submitted the new work item proposal for web accessible but also web actionable data quality measures register, with which we just simply reflect to the current demand for exchange data over the web. So we decided, instead of holding the measures in the tables in the PDF, these should be accessible in a web-based register to revise their underlying standard for register systems. You might know it under ISO 19135. So that is the defining standard for all ISO TC211 registers, including the data quality measures register. So what we expect in the end is that any automated quality assessment systems or procedures would be able to refer to authoritative source when using one of the data quality measures as defined in ISO 19157 multi-part standard. So say if you want to assess your positional horizontal accuracy or absolute accuracy, and you want to express it with RMSE as understood by geographic information community, you might be able to just point to the to its definition on the web in ISO 19157, and thus providing some sort of weight to your quality assessment report. A nice comment was from the colleagues in that project that it looks like geographic information is far more advanced as to what they know in terms of list of data quality measures. Barriers, that's a good question, actually. Well, first, sort of a resistance at the beginning when we pushed very, very hard for having this register approved by the ISO Central Secretariat. As you might guess, there was a little bit of a resistance due to the business model ISO runs on. So anything that's available online, a bit hard to control by the Central Secretariat. But what we also noticed that the ISO's willingness to actually get in par with current web practices. So in the end, we won, if I might say this bluntly, which is good news for geographic information. And now we are watched because, and that's not like in a negative sense, in a positive sense, is because ISO realized that ISO TC211 has done a lot of progressive work, and it's something to be actually learned from. So I'm really pleased with the developments at the moment. But if you're talking about technical barriers, then what we are seeing is that ideal dreamy version of the ISO data quality measures register. We thought, okay, you just tell machine go to this fixed URL, which we have a quite stable pattern of URLs, so that machines could be taught how to actually decipher them or amend them. You tell them go to the data quality measure register and find the measure to assess positional accuracy. And then, well, it's not that straightforward because we've at least what we can offer with the web accessible register is an authoritative source. Yes, so if you say this is what ISO TC211 guarantees, it's at this URL. Now, another tremendous advantage is to have this in a register is when we look at the revision cycle of ISO standards. Yeah, so if you have the documents, if you're lucky, you can get the revision every 5 years. Now, with register, there are procedures to actually amend, add, remove, revise measures, and these are much more agile. Yeah, so there is a standard document defines a procedure. Submitting, if you as an expert see there is nonsense in the register, then you can speak up. You just submit your proposal for revision. Control body of the register takes it, considers it, and updates it. And this can all be ad hoc when you do it, or at least once a month or once a half a year. I'm envisaging that register to really be a single point of authority with ISO label. Yeah, so because that used to be the biggest problem with any other assets ISO offered. So we had these excellent UML models and ontologies, but they were not really available through a regulated URL pattern or regulated procedure. But now with data quality measures registers, we've also updated our registration procedures, and our ISO TC211 became a so-called Harmonized Resource Maintenance Agency, which is a mouthful for simply making sure they offer their assets in an organized and procedural way, and all these assets actually technically sit in registries. Yeah, so we have the data quality measures register now. We are working on code lists / code sets registers. So these are also going to be available as registries. We have a terminological register. We allow themselves being organized in a register will be offered in a similar fashion. So it's, well, good days in ISO TC211. So there's some things happening that has a potential to be really useful instead of having stuff buried in PDFs or in all sorts of websites that nobody gave a seal to. If you put something on the web and describe it well and make it persistent, you already comply with 99% of the FAIR. If that was a rough estimate, but maybe 98.9, I don't know. I didn't do the calculations, but one interesting thing was and was a recurrent discussion was the R related to the FAIR principles. So data quality measure register and then provenance started to be mentioned in one sentence, because if you think about it, you do a data quality assessment using quality measures from ISO 19157-3 data quality measure register. It somewhat asks for this to be again exposed for reuse, and if you don't append provenance to it, it's just difficult to actually considered FAIR. So FAIR, yes, and I believe if something's curated and properly exposed on the web and is stable, then it has a high FAIR potential.